this almost looks like CGI, dude. Ugh, this is actually disgusting. Nature's kinda cool though, isn't it? Pussy? What is on this guy? Yo, if you're gonna make a video about growing a whole ass mushroom, eat the whole thing. Oh shit! Wait, it gives death? Oh shit! I'm sorry. I didn't mean that, didn't I?
Firing squad. Ready.
Yes.
Aim. Fire.
Jesus Christ.
Firing squad, hold fire.
Daddy.
That's weird. What is that?
Enter shape color 1, 2, 4, 1, 3. So it will be circle. Wait, circle, right? And enter shape color. Oh, it will be purple. I see, man. Basically, don't do kush if you're gonna do this game, man. 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3.
What is this?
One of the police officers involved in a controversial traffic stop of a black and Latino Army officer in December has been fired. Body camera footage shows Windsor, Virginia police officers Joe Gutierrez and Daniel Crocker pointing their guns at Army Second Lieutenant Karan Nazario before Gutierrez pepper sprays him. Lieutenant Nazario was released without being charged, and he is now suing both officers. CBS News correspondent Christina Raffini has the story.
What's going on?
How many occupants are in your vehicle?
It's only myself. Why are your weapons drawn? What's going on?
The door slowly and step out.
Get out! Get out the car! Get out now!
I have not committed any crime.
In body camera and cell phone video, Army Second Lieutenant Karan Nazario, still in his uniform, holds his hands out the window of his new car, while two Windsor, Virginia police officers, guns drawn, order him to get out.
I'm honestly afraid to get out. Can I?
Yeah, you should be. Get out of the car now. Get out of the car.
Get your hands off me, please. Get your hands off me.
You know what?
Get your hands off me. Get your hands off me. I didn't do anything. Don't do that.
Nazario repeatedly asks why he's been pulled over before ex-officer Joe Gutierrez pepper sprays him through the open window.
Sir, just get out the car.
I'm trying to breathe. Ugh. My dog is in the back. My dog is choking right now.
Get out of the car.
Nazario is then kicked, forced to the ground, and put in handcuffs.
Why
Jesus.
am I being treated like this? Why?
You're not cooperating.
The incident report says Nazario was pulled over for not having tags displayed on his SUV. But the temporary dealer plate is visible in the officer's body cam video. The report also said officers treated it as a high-risk stop because Nazario had tinted windows and drove at a very low speed to a gas station before pulling over. A move Gutierrez later said he understood.
As far as you not stopping and because you weren't comfortable and you wanted a well-lit spot, Lieutenant, that happens all the time.
He did everything that we are told to do for everyone's safety.
Attorney Jonathan Arthur represents Nazario.
When you look in your rearview mirror and you see two firearms trained at you, you got to get real calm, real quick if you want to get out of there alive. You know, it's a credit to his training.
What are you, a specialist, Corporal? What are you?
According
I
to
don't want to roast this guy, but dude, what the fuck is this beard, man? Dude, just shave the beard. Just.
And no charges filed. We'll take the handcuffs off. We'll get you a bottle of water you can drink on, and sit here until you feel comfortable driving.
Now, after that search of his vehicle turned up no violations, Nazario was released without charge. The governor of Virginia has asked state police to investigate the incident. CBS News reached out to the Windsor Police Department. We did not hear back. Anthony Nazario's attorney said he wanted to file the lawsuit to hold these two officers accountable, and so these kinds of stops stop happening.
Christina Raffini, thanks, Christina. Wow. I mean, I can't imagine pulling into a gas station and suddenly facing a couple of guys with guns pointed in your window.
But this is the thing, guys. He was calm the whole time.
Yeah.
And
He was calm. They weren't.
He's in uniform. And when they said he drove at a low rate of speed, that should show he wasn't trying to get away.
No.
And I don't blame him. As a black man in this country, getting stopped on a rural highway, he's thinking, let me get to where there's light.
Where it's lit, yeah.
And he immediately started cooperating. Just that, this is the thing that bothers me. It was such an issue of power and control. They did not treat that man like a human being.
Yeah.
And that's what's so troubling about it.
And since when do you get pulled over for having tinted windows?
Jesus.
Yeah, they could have solved that much differently. Driving slow was a problem.
But did they take the phone, though?
Before he became president, on March 31st, 2008, the president said, and I quote,
I didn't receive a proper answer then. Maybe Dodgy Dave will answer it now.
Amendment 14, Section 1. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to...
And by the way,
on July the 1st, 2010, the president said, and I quote,
so that businesses, universities, parents and young people in Devon.
And the majority leader looked at me and said, there is no deal, there is no deal, there is no deal.
Order. It shouldn't be a collective groan. No, it's not. The honourable gentleman is good-humoured. But order!
On May 5th, 2010, the president said, and I quote,
We've got a new hand gesture from the Shadow Chancellor. Yes. I would have gone. Either after today's briefing in the papers, the hand gesture for the Shadow Chancellor should be bye-bye.
Sons and daughters, husbands and wives.
Mr. Robertson! Mr. Robertson! Calm yourself, man! The lion must get back in its den! Prime Minister!
Dude, this is like a wall.
Not in a box, not with a fox. Not in a house, not with a mouse. I would not eat them here or there. I would not eat them anywhere. I would not eat green eggs and ham. I do not like them. Sam, I am.
What the fuck was that? I first ordered. Yeah, this. I mean, as a foreign player, it was kind of scuffed.
Make a cup Lord paid service cookie.
Which was really interesting. It's kind of like Mongoose, yeah.
Great turn by Makeda!
Grim. Cool one.
Do we need nuclear energy to stop climate change? More and more voices from science, environmental activists, and the press have been saying so in recent years. But this comes as a shock to those who are fighting against nuclear energy and the problems that come with it. So, who's right? Well, it's complicated. To slow rapid climate change, the world needs to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to net zero. In 2018, 3/4 of global emissions were released through energy production, namely by burning fossil fuels. Energy is a broad term that describes all sorts of stuff, from moving things and people around, to putting things big and small together, or heating our homes. Currently, 84% of the world's primary energy comes from fossil fuels, 33% from oil, 27% from coal, and 24% from gas. Around 10% of the global oil supply is just used to burn in boilers to make our homes cozy and warm. Only about 16% of global energy is from low-emission sources, almost 7% from hydroelectric, 5% from solar, wind, bioenergy, wave, tidal and geothermal combined, and about 4% from nuclear. So we pretty much rely on coal, oil and gas to keep our civilization going, which means it's actually very hard to transition away from them. To have a chance of escaping fossil fuels without throwing humanity back into the Stone Age, one of the most impactful things we can do is to electrify as many sectors as possible. Electricity is the stuff that appears like magic when you plug something into a socket so you can watch YouTube. Every industry that can switch from burning fossil fuels to electricity needs to do so, from electric cars to electric heaters. Why do we need to bet so hard on electricity? Because we can produce electricity with low emission technologies like solar, wind, or nuclear. So electricity is a real lever for a radical transition. But there are a few problems making this transition really hard. First of all, in most places in the world, electricity is still generated mostly by burning fossil fuels. And not only that, in the last 20 years, the world's electricity usage increased 73% in absolute terms. While we are installing renewables at record speeds, at the same time, the amount of fossil fuel we're burning for electricity still keeps rising.
What's in absolute terms?
Rising year by year. Renewables have so far not been able to catch up with the demand for new electricity, and so despite our progress, emissions from electricity are still rising worldwide. The other alternative to fossil
okay, so not by percentage, not by ratio, not by people, just by pure values.
Fuels is nuclear, and even though it's not renewable, its greenhouse gas emissions are tiny compared to burning stuff.
Makes sense.
But in the last 20 years, nuclear has basically stagnated. Countries like China, India, and South Korea built new reactors, while Germany and Japan have been actively taking their nuclear plants offline. Which seems a bit weird if we look at the countries with the most low-carbon electricity in the world that get most of their juice mainly from two sources, nuclear or hydropower.
Canada? Okay. Well, Canada doesn't really count, dude. Dude, don't we have all the lakes and all the water and all the rivers and shit, and we have a bunch of dams and whatnot, and we have like a hydroelectricity?
Or hydropower. Take France and Sweden.
Well, that's the point.
In France, only around 10% comes from fossil fuels, while 67% comes from nuclear and 23% from renewables, primarily hydro. In Sweden, almost 30% comes from nuclear power and about 45% from hydro. So we know that nuclear energy can work at scale. On the technical side, because of the lack of investment and innovation in the last few...
Chat, I wonder how much Quebec would do in that scale, even though it's just a province. Aren't we like mostly hydro? Chat, when you pay your bill, it's hydro Quebec, dude.
Decades, the majority of the world's nuclear reactors are pretty old technology that's very costly to replace. In most Western countries, building nuclear reactors has become very expensive for a variety of reasons, like a loss of know-how in constructing them, policy changes, and increased regulatory constraints, so it can take a decade or longer just to finish a power plant. In contrast, countries like South Korea, China, India, and Russia are able to build new nuclear reactors comparatively quickly and at a competitive cost. Still, generally in the West, the current generation of nuclear power plants are more expensive to build and maintain than most fossil fuel alternatives. There are also the concerns about nuclear waste and the fear of accidents, but we cover those in other videos in more detail. We have designs for nuclear reactors that solve many of their problems, namely small reactors that take less time and money to get started. There are also next-generation technologies that can already turn radioactive waste into new fuel, but so far these have not been deployed at a scale where they can have a significant impact on the nuclear sector. Considering these uncertainties, some argue that nuclear power is a dangerous relic of the past and that we should just let it go and focus on renewables.
It's not dangerous, is it?
But while renewables undoubtedly are the future of electricity, they still have their own huge challenges to overcome before they can take over the vast majority of the electricity grid. The main problem is reliability and consistency. It's not always windy, and the sun does...
You guys are Chernobyl, but that's not, you know... Come on, man. Dude.
Doesn't always shine, especially in the mornings and evenings when humans need the most electricity. The variations between seasons don't make this issue easier.
That's human error. I'm pretty sure that the risk themselves for nuclear compared to other ones is really small. I mean, what do people always forget about? What about all the oil spills and all the oily stuff and that makes all the, you know? All the birds
to make
oily and
renewables
shit, man.
reliable and not risk
the water.
blackouts, we need massive storage capacities where we can save energy collected when the sun or wind are at their peak and release it later when we actually need it. Until this is possible, other sources of electricity need to provide a controllable load that creates the reliability of supply that our civilization needs to run properly. Eventually, we will be able to do this with renewables, but we need a lot of batteries or storage power plants. Right now, we simply don't have the tech and the capacities to make this transition fast enough to replace fossil fuels. But even if we could, there's another aspect we have to take into account. We're not just trying to kick fossil fuels out of electricity, we're trying to replace energy with electricity. If we're going to electrify sectors that currently use fossil fuels, like cars or heating, we will need significantly more electricity than we're currently using everywhere around the world. And if the electricity needs of the world population...
If they change like you know, like a oil car engine, they have to remake the whole thing for it to be electric. We have to do the same thing with like machines. They have to change the engine and how it works. And have to re-engineer the whole thing.
As they have over the last 20 years, we'll need even more. It all comes down to one thing. No energy source is perfect. All have their own unique problems. Both renewables and nuclear energy require time, investment, and technological innovation. On their own, neither is ready to remove fossil fuels from our electricity grid, although activists on both sides claim that they are. In the end, the question is how we want to deal with all these challenges. Should we give up nuclear immediately and at least temporarily accept higher emissions? Will we try to extend the life of current nuclear reactors and shut them down afterwards while solving the shortcomings of renewables? Or will we invest in new nuclear technology to get new nuclear reactor types that are cheaper and safer? Or will we maybe do both? Opinion Part starts here. Considering the risks that climate change poses for the biosphere and humanity, any technology that has a chance of contributing to a solution should be pursued. That's just good risk management and strategy. If preventing rapid climate change as quickly as possible is our goal, it might be a good idea to see nuclear and renewables not as opponents, but as partners. We know there's no time to waste, so we should keep all of our low-emission players on the field.
That makes sense.
As things are, both nuclear and renewables need innovation and investment. But if we don't know yet which technology will be ready how quickly, why not just invest in both and see what happens? And on the topic of current capacities, if we take nuclear energy offline right now, then that missing capacity will be replaced, at least partially, by fossil fuels. Even if new nuclear power plants in the West are expensive, in the long run, it may be cheaper to build them as long as they prevent more fossil fuel capacity being added and paying for the consequences of rapid climate change. So, do we need nuclear energy? Well, it really depends how hard we choose to make things for ourselves. And in a world that's already having a really hard time quitting fossil fuels, why should we make things harder than necessary?
That was really good animation. Actually,
and trying something new is always difficult. Luckily, you don't have to do it all on your own. If you want to get out of a rut, we've got something for you. We are big fans of Skillshare.
Okay, that was pretty good. I enjoyed that. Because I'm a bit ADHD Andy to the chat, guys. I'm kind of...
Than being vegan for your small.
Something I first saw in a children's discovery room at the Museum of Science in Boston. It was bigger. They were using racquetball balls instead of ball bearings. But this illustrates the same concept. Everybody has seen an inclined plane.
Right.
But I've got two ramps here. One is the straight ramp, and the other one is the ones the dips and the hills. And so the question is, if you put the ball at the top of both ramps, which gets to the bottom first? One can make a good argument in favor of this one, which is shorter.
Welcome to the jungle, man. Much love, xQcl.
The left one, but it depends.
At the bottom are the same. But we'll let you make your own decision.
Left one is going to stall. The left one is going to stall.
So we'll put the two balls at the top. I'll hold them with the pencil so my fingers don't
Pogo,
somehow
may I get a welcome to the
affect the way
jungle?
things are released.
No, I love you all,
And if I release
GG.
the pencil, the one on the curvy slope goes much faster.
Oh.
Because I believe that the greater acceleration at the steep point overcomes and exceeds the extra distance and having to go up this hill and that hill that you might think would slow it down.
Oh, thanks, man. You know what they say, right?
No, what do they say?
You would not believe your eyes if 10 million fireflies lit up the world as I fell asleep.
Hey, you're actually a good singer.
Thank you, man.